I will tag her in a moment. She'll be joining me briefly. We are here to talk about autism specifically, but also ADHD and other neurodiversities, and how we see this crazy correlation between having a neurodivergent brain and being psychically gifted. I work with people all the time, ongoing clients, one-off sessions, and I see this correlation so often, it's insane. 12/12 on October 12th, nice. At Ascension Guide. So you do need to request to join the live. There we go, let me pin it. Yes, dyslexia is a neurodivergency. Yes, it is. And so we'll start in just a moment. When she joins me, we can start maybe talking about what is neurodivergence. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, or
Good
what time?
morning.
What time is it with you?
It's 12.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good
It's 10
afternoon.
in Denver. This is my had to get ready really fast look.
You're beautiful, as always.
Thank you. So go ahead and introduce yourself, your name, I pinned your what you do, whatever you want to say.
My name is Natasha, and yeah, I discovered years ago that I am on a spectrum, and it kind of made all the sense in the world of the whys of just relating with the world, not really fitting in, just really like kind of large hardships, things that people take for granted. It's it's rough for us, and what I do, basically I help people figure themselves out. I have a lot of, because I guess of the autism, I have a lot of experience with trauma. So I help people, figure that out, get them out of that hole. That's what I'm very passionate about. Because of where I come from, I'm really able to hold space for people. Oh, and also, I do offer services as a bridge between the autistic children and their parents, because again, I'm on the spectrum and I'm able to understand the needs of others on the spectrum.
Okay. Thank you so much. Welcome. I want to talk about what is neurodivergency, and I want to talk about maybe some common stereotypes.
Yes.
So for those who are watching who don't know, I am also on the spectrum. I'm a diagnosed autistic person. You would never know it, right? But I've been to a lot of therapy. Let's say it that way.
Yes.
Let's say it that way. And it's very common for women to not be diagnosed until into their early 20s. So I was 22. How old were you, Natasha?
I feel like it was about 7 years ago. I'm 38, so so in my 30s.
Okay, yeah, I know people, it's gone even like 40s, 50s that they didn't know, because for so long we thought that autism and being on the spectrum is something that has to be extremely presenting, which that definition is defined by basically how much is it disrupting the caregivers,
Right.
how hard of a time is the child having. And we don't know what it looks like in girls until maybe like the past 5 to 8 years. 5 years really, I think, is even generous. We haven't really known what a girl or woman on the spectrum looks like, because we mask so well. We definitely want to talk about masking today.
Yes.
So what would you say, in your definition, what is neurodiversity?
It's just being wired different, thinking different. Part of it for me anyway is kind of not being, and I guess it is not across the board, but not being as plugged into the matrix as somebody that, Yeah.
That's a really great like spiritual perspective of it.
Yeah. Also, just from my experience, and there's actually a book out there called Autism and the Connection to God. So basically, my understanding, my experiences, there is, as you were saying, they are a lot of us are very psychic. There is a connection. There is a connection, a really big connection. I have not been in my body most of my life. Basically, lived out there, so I'm like this is kind of secondary. You know, this is prime.
Yeah, this is like this. So I was saying that I see a huge correlation between empaths, those who are psychically gifted, and neurodiversity,
Yeah.
and that's why grounding is like you gotta ground all day.
I
you
know.
you have to. If you're an empath and you're listening to this, and you're not grounding at least once a day, you're gonna have a bad time. That's just facts. Okay, that's I like that definition. What are some stereotypes that are not true? You share and then I will share. Like what um you can also maybe here talk about ableism a little bit because I don't talk about being autistic because then people infantilize me.
Yes. I same thing. I don't talk about autism, me being on the spectrum, this for the same reason. Plus, I have a hard time hearing the response. It's pretty much every single time of, "No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna tell me?" And it's because of the stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the media shows us. We're supposed to be like, you know,
Yeah.
we're normal
No.
people. We're just wired differently. And some of us have a little bit of a harder time than others. And in my opinion, the reason for that is because we're so sensitive, there's so much poison all around that our system just ends up, like, again, depending on the person, but having a really hard time with the physical world. Basically, a lot of the stuff is basically the poison is getting to us. And therefore, we're like this. Because I could get like that as well if I have the wrong stuff. For
Yep.
example, if I have dairy, people like don't take me seriously. I'm just like, no, I really can't have dairy. They're like, oh, I'm just like, no, really. Do you want to take care of me? You know, like it's really serious. And yeah, people just it's rough. It's rough.
I so let me take a moment to say the spectrum is not, and sorry if you I live in the city, there's like a helicopter and a street cleaner all going on outside. Um hold on one second, we'll let it pass.
Oh, I don't hear anything.
Oh no?
No.
Fantastic. Okay, so a lot of people think that the spectrum is like a line, and it's like over here, if you're like this far over, then you're autistic, and if you're over here, then you're not. It's not like that at all. It's like two different spheres completely, where you have a neurotypical brain and a neurodivergent brain. And the neurodivergent brain is wired and operates very differently, and has different needs. So within the neurodivergent brain spectrum, it's not a line. Imagine that this is cut up like a pizza, and within the different slices there are different sections. So maybe you have one for communication, one for social, one for fidgeting, one for fixations, all these different things. And each autistic person, because they're an individual and they're all different, we're all different, uh, they will have different places where they excel and places where they do not excel. So I'm verbal, right? Um, I'm pretty good with communication. I have a lot of experience. I'm not great social, which is weird. Meeting new people is like one of the worst activities I can do. I hate it. And I mean, really, like, you know, people that we're coming onto this live, we're meeting different, because I know that we're already understanding each other, but then maybe also you have a need. One of those need sections, pieces of the pie is sensory issues. So like I'm extremely sensitive to light.
Me too.
I'm extremely I'm afraid of the grocery store. I'm afraid of the gym. I still go, but
I
I
don't.
will.
I pretty much don't really go. I order my groceries online. I work out at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I.
Light is really painful. My phone is all the way down to the lowest.
Mm-hmm. This is something I see a lot is this sensitivity to artificial light. So extremely
How about
sensitive.
sound? Are you sensitive to sound?
I have like a threshold of how much for the day. So I use loops. Do you know those loop earplugs?
No.
They're really cute. They're like little fashion earplugs, or sound canceling headphones while I'm out. I have like a quota that once I meet it, it's like, oh, I can't take anymore. So there are many different things, and it varies individual to individual. But the spectrum is, there's no you cross over into it and you suddenly are autistic. It's completely different
It's
neuro.
just your wiring. Yeah, you're different.
And then yeah, again within that neurotype, there's different needs, So sunglasses. You'll see me go outside with sunglasses. I'll wear them in the store. I don't care. I don't care if people look at me weird. Socially, I have to work very hard to pretend that I'm a normal person. So let me roll that into our next topic: masking.
Oh gosh.
So masking is one of the most exhausting things that you can do as a neurodivergent person. But because, and this is changing, we have like a neurodiversity movement, because these things like having freakouts, having meltdowns, being like overly emotional, overly sensitive.
I get overwhelmed really like easily, and I need space to recoup.
Yeah, this is like not working with the 9 to 5. So we have to pretend all day that we're like a normal person, and this is called masking. So maybe Natasha, could you tell us about your personal like negative side effects that you get from having to mask?
Well, first I would like to start with so people expect certain certain ways for people to be, and I'm very, very expressive, like my just who I am. But I have to hide that, because if I allow my facial expression to be how I feel, people be like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, I'm just trying to be a human being. Sure, fine, I'll put a mask on.
See, I'm opposite, where my face is just stone cold all the time.
Well, are you sure that's not masking? Because that's the thing. I mask all the time, because like otherwise I'm very expressive. Like for example, right now I'm masking, right? Like I seem normal, but when I'm not in that mode of masking, I'm very like, I'm not even gonna do it. Very, very expressive, and people just don't understand, don't know what to do with it. It's
weird. It's uncomfortable for them. That's why we mask. Is it's ingrained into us, especially as women, people who've been socialized as women. It's uncomfortable for other people to see us be ourselves, and so we are taught to turn to be smaller, right?
Yes.
So much so that like the masking is like ingrained in our brains now and has done irreversible damage. And it's like, if you, for example, you say you're very expressive, you might like do one of these, right? And then you're in a business meeting.
No.
And then, like, are you okay?
Yeah. Right.
That's
that's the reply if I'm being natural. Are you, Natasha, are you okay? No,
yeah.
I'm okay. I'm so sorry for being authentic.
I understand what you mean. I'm definitely like, inside, my experience is intense, right? Obviously, because we're very energy sensitive. It's very intense, but on the outside, I'm usually, this is me. So I have like this resting bitch face. But inside, like joyous, happy, great day. Maybe it is masking you. I don't even know what is masking and what is not within myself anymore, because it's so ingrained. And maybe you can relate to this as a child. Like, I didn't have friends, and I didn't know why the other kids didn't want to play with me and didn't like me, except for maybe like the other weird kid.
Right. I've always I've never fit in, even till this day. Like people think I'm a normal person, right? But then they get to know me and they're like, yeah, no, that you're not normal, because I'm intense. I have these needs that are too much for them. Like I'm trying my best. Yeah, there's stuff that I just like, you know, with no, like, without, like, I'm not trying to disrespect them or like anything along those lines, but it's like there's certain things I'm just not interested in. Like, I'm just not, you know what I mean? There's certain topics I'm like,
Yep. Yep. I'm just like, please, this is torturous. Please. Like small talk, I don't do small. I don't even try.
yeah,
And a lot of reclaiming our place in society and with this neurodivergent movement is to start having the guts, right? Because we've been so conditioned out of it, but having the guts to take up the space, express ourselves fully, express our needs, express like what stimming is a thing, like if we want to dance around and stuff, and speaking our minds and making other people uncomfortable, because really if you're uncomfortable, that's a you problem.
right. Yeah,
Ooh,
we're definitely not there yet. We're not there where, yeah, where
not.
people understand and accept. Like, I have to be normal to, for, you know, to live, to socialize with people. I want to be me.
Yeah, and I fully hold the space and empower you to do so. uh, I think as an autistic, the best thing I ever did for myself was make my special interest my career. And maybe your special interest is psychology, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was obsessed with psychology,
Me.
anything that has having to do with the mind, with the emotions, and really like the spiritual world as well. Just obsessed for years. Because I used to bartend for a living. Irony, the irony. I used to
Oh,
Oh, by the way, I got my social skills through bartending. I bartended for about 16 years, and about 10 years into it, did I finally kind of start to become normal and like capable of socializing. I was just did not know how to act, did not, you know, or be normal or whatever. And yeah, then eventually I guess I learned throughout the years and being around people all the time, petrified of people, mind you. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to survive, right? So yeah, so I had all this time because you know bartending was only a certain amount of time a week. So I had all this time that I spent on obsessing about psychology, spirituality, you know, anything mind, emotion related. Just and then you know, just recently I was like, I wonder why I spent so much time obsessing about it. Like, was it last year, 2 years ago? I had that thought, and then I realized, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this. You
mm-hmm.
know, like I get it now. Like I'm supposed to be able to understand and hold space. I found my passion, found my purpose.
Well, this is something like as an Indigenous person, this is something that I think about a lot. Is that the people like us, immediately as children, this thought like makes me want to freaking cry because it's like, wow, our lives could have been like this. Um, because I did not grow up in like the tribal setting. I grew up like in America. Well, obviously some indigenous people are in America, but I didn't grow up like on a reserve. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? I grew up very much in our society. Um, and immediately as a child, these children would be identified as scientifically and spiritually gifted, and they would go to train with a shaman, and they would become the shaman.
Yes, I've had that thought as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
This is
so
how
in touch.
neurodiverse, like specifically autistic people, um, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's this is the person who has the gift to be the tribe counselor, to right with the natural affinity for wanting to learn psychology. And honestly, like I'm obsessed with like psychology, have been for 10 years. I think a lot of that comes from needing to understand how other people are working, kind of building out social algorithms,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
I learned how to socialize through bartending and through obsessing. Like now, I could completely fit in as normal. You know, in the surfacey
Mhm.
arena. You know, you would never be able to tell.
But it's exhausting still for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want my favorite thing is to be by myself. Everything's just exhausting. You know, when I'm by myself, it's peaceful. I could do whatever I want to do. I'm not going back and forth. And you know, there's a lot of battling with ego with neurodivergence,
Neurotypicals.
neurotypicals.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's just I'm exhausted. I'm just like, I'm just gonna go over there by myself. Bye.
I I understand that. I'm a hermit myself. I am, but at the same time, we have this affinity for working with people.
Well, that's the thing. Um, I'll go over there, and then when you need me, I'll come out. I'll make you better, and then I'll go over there. You know?
That's literally like the shaman,
Yep.
right? Like the tribe's shaman. He lives on the outskirt of town, on the edge of town, in a house by himself. You show up when you need something, he does the thing, you bring him some bananas, and it's all good. He goes back to whatever he was doing, right?
Yep.
And I think that there's so let's get more into like psychicness and spirituality, neurodiversity. Not only would people like us be identified as the tribe healer in an indigenous society, tribe, clan, whatever you call it. But because we obsess and have these special interests, we would master quickly different things, right? Like
Yes.
herbalism, uh, rituals, ceremonies, psychology, things like this. So we're both autistic, right? In your own words and what you've discovered about yourself so far, what are your spiritual psychic gifts?
My psychic gifts. Okay, the third one's kind of weird, but my main, huh?
We're here for the weird.
Yes, my main is I have knowing. I'll just know stuff.
Mhm.
Then I have feeling,
Mhm.
clairsentience. So the first one is claircognizance. I'm sure you know. The second one is clairsentience, and then the other one, the weird one, is my sense of smell.
Oh yeah, psychic smell. I love that one.
Makes me really good at making food. But the world is really smelly.
Okay, so you're very smell sensitive. Okay.
Really smell. Like um I can't really hug people, especially if they have cologne on.
Mm-hmm.
It suffocates, you know? And
So someone wanted an explanation for the first two. So you have clairsentience, which is psychic feeling, and claircognizance, which is psychic knowing. These are different ways for extrasensory they're different extrasensory psychic abilities for extra information to come in. So she will maybe meet someone and know things and feel things about them.
yeah. Yeah. And a lot of it is, if I'm being honest, my research and knowing from all the research that I've done. So there's that aspect. But yeah, I don't know. I'll just know random stuff with just like a really deep inner knowing, and I can't. Nobody could talk me out of it because I know it. Like it's not all the time, you know. It's here and there, and when I know something, like I know it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess an example would be just understanding the universe. Like there's this knowing. I understand. I understand it. It goes through me. It's
I would call that an intuitive understanding.
yeah.
Deep, grounded, rooted, intuitive understanding. So the way that I see this from a scientific point of view is that, and I'll take your gifts as an example, is that it's twofold. So you have all this information because your brain loves to collect information about the things that you love. And then the way that your neurodivergent brain works, because it's a lot more holistic and rapid firing than the neurotypical brain, is it takes that information and it constructs patterns, and by itself it does it,
Yeah.
not even consciously, it's subconsciously constructing patterns and
Yep.
creating conclusions for you.
Exactly.
Also have this like extra, like source or the collective involvement. Believe that how much you will. I personally obviously believe that heavily. I have these gifts as well. I also have hearing. I have the psychic hearing, pretty good. I don't have the psychic smell though. That's pretty cool.
I think vision's really cool. Hearing is cool too. I mean, the smell is cool because again, I could use it for cooking. And also, I could smell if something's not good, like mold, for example. Like, you know, it's kind of everywhere, and most people don't notice it. You know, yeah.
Very good. What else? What
What
else?
else? So I have a list that I created, just the right lists. um,
Here's my list.
just to, you know, to kind of be ready, just to have certain things to kind of talk about. You've covered stigma in the media, fitting in. We covered um, nervous system. Do you have issues with your nervous system?
Of course, of course.
Yeah, such a hard time, and that's partially why I need to get away, and I need to go and recoup. Like, ah, it's really rough.
I've got diagnosed panic and anxiety disorder. This is why I work in these things on an energetic level, and this is why it's my specialty, because I've turned it from a curse to a blessing and feel better.
Yes, I used to have extreme anxiety. Matter of fact, I lived most of my life, because of my sensitivity to the outside stimuli. I lived most of my life in something called depersonalization, or if you're familiar with it. So basically, you're kind of numb, and you're kind of watching your life. You're numb because just like you're just overly, you know, like your needs are not met, your boundaries are not respected, you're overstimulated for far too long, and you're not going to recover. You're not going to over there. You know, which you got to make sure you do to recover, to bring that battery life back up. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. But once you figure out what works for you, you can live a very fulfilling life.
Yes.
Make sure you get your rest.
I'm having a thing. Now I'm having a time. But I've removed myself completely from society. Same for you, right?
Yeah, pretty much here and there. I'm still trying to this whole normal thing. You know, trying. What are you gonna do? Oh, food sensitivities. How are you on food?
I eat plant-based, gluten-free for the most part.
Yeah, same. I do mostly plant-based. I'm not completely strict on not having other things, but like I try to just eat organic, clean, plant-based. Not vegan, because vegan doesn't mean healthy.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I have sensitivity to dairy, and it puts me in that autistic state, right? And basically kind of feels like I go into this dark tunnel, and I'm just like, I guess my system is so overwhelmed that my spirit is separated from my body, and I'm just kind of like in this cocoon. And technically, I guess I can interact with the world, but everything hurts. There is no good hormones going, you know. The other thing I'm kind of sensitive with, but it's not a big deal whatsoever, are nightshades. And yeah, that just gives me a little bit of inflammation.
So for those watching, nightshade is like eggplant,
potatoes.
Love tomatoes and potatoes. I'm so grateful I'm not sensitive to this.
Me too. How about this? Tomatoes are my favorite food in the world. And
Me
I have
too.
to say, that's weird.
What? My favorite food.
That's so odd. I've never heard anybody say that before.
Yeah.
And I love potatoes. Potato chips, I just do.
Potatoes?
Mashed potatoes, love it. I still have it here and there because it's just not that big of a deal. You know, it'll get out of my system in a couple of days. So I actually, I guess through not knowing that I had this dairy problem situation over the years, I think it's been going on since I was born. I'm assuming. I don't know. And I think it affected me because I've always had all these health issues, but the doctor's like, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm just like, you know, like I'm not okay. And throughout the years, it ended up getting worse. I think it was when I was 27, at some point my knees swelled up and it was hard for me to walk and stand. And so I had to pay attention. So the doctors again were, we don't see anything wrong with you. It looks like I'm rheumatoid arthritis. We don't know the cause, you know. And then, so I was in a relationship and I was living with my boyfriend at the time. And he goes to me, you know, I'm noticing that the more dairy that you have, the worse you get. So like with my swelling, with my mood swings, so we took me off the dairy and saw the difference. I was able to be a normal person.
Mm.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I see that inflammation can definitely cause the autistic symptoms to not be able to be masked anymore.
Yeah, it's hard. And yeah, oh my gosh, it was so hard. So so I think throughout the years of when I was younger, growing up, all the way to 27, and still like once in a while somebody would put dairy into my food, and like again, whatever, issues. So I think just throughout all of that time, I think my nervous system got like messed up further, and I ended up healing myself through eating fruits, vegetables, and ingesting herbs.
Mm-hmm.
I healed myself through food.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yep.
That is
Not pills, not shots.
Yeah, it's food, definitely. Herbs, food, consistent hydration, good water.
Yes.
What? You have anything else on your list?
Oh yes. Let me see what else I got here. I guess we kind of mentioned it briefly. Not being able to be embodied, the whole like I guess needing to be grounded thing. Is there anything I want to talk about more about that? I guess it's just like for me, I just noticed that being an issue for sure. The awakening and awareness, our awareness is very expanded. Woke up, quite a long time ago. Basically being able to see things for what they are. What else did I want to? Connection to source, mental health. Okay, mental health. I noticed that I guess because of how we get treated for being weird and and your needs are nothing, and a bunch of other stuff, we develop other things. We develop mental issues. What did you say?
Comorbidities.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yes.
Yes.
Rejection trauma. You can have PTSD from things like humiliation, rejection.
Constant.
And
people are cruel. I live in New York City, so
people are extra cool. Anxiety is a huge one, obviously.
Yeah.
Regulation, panic disorders,
depression,
of course. You can even then develop like personality disorders, like
bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
There's basically anything and everything.
And I'm so grateful that and by the way, neurodivergency we're finding that it's genetic. 1% of the population about is neurodivergent. So now I know when I have a kid, if they're neurodivergent, I know the signs. I know how to treat them and respect them and cultivate natural gifts and not shame them for being weird. So it stops with us, and that's beautiful. But we're still kind of like, but I'm very grateful that, especially for women, that we're getting into.
Yeah.
Knowing
how they used to treat autistics, well, first of all, you're treating them like less than human, and there are stories that I've heard, like parents would wrap them up and sit on them. Imagine like the trauma from that, just like, oh, you need to respect people, people as individuals, not your property that you can do whatever the hell you want with. That's crazy. So I have a need for routine.
Of course.
Yeah.
I have a 30-point routine I hit every day. And if I don't, I will be extremely upset.
Yeah. And yeah, people don't understand. I'm like, what do you not understand? I have a hard time. And I find comfort in my little sameness, because the world is so unpredictable. The little bit of comfort that I'm able to provide myself, can I have it? Dealing with people is just so hard. Everybody just like, no, I don't want to accept you the way you are, but I accept you the way you are.
This is like a huge collective wound, right? So, all right, let me wrap it up here. So for those who are watching who are neurodivergent, what advice, and spiritually right? Obviously, what advice would you give them, or consolation?
For those that are in the spectrum, what advice? You are a human being deserving of being treated like a person. You deserve all the respect. You are magical. You're it, even if you have not yet developed, because at some point I didn't have this connection to myself. If you develop that connection to yourself, you'll see the connection that you're able to have in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it's overwhelming, but once you learn what works for you, you understand, you learn how to manage. Life can be so beautiful. Life can be so beautiful. Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of lacking us in self-love, self-worth, because in the society people tell you you're less than. I literally grew up thinking there's something like really wrong with me. When bad things happen to me, I deserve them because I'm less than. Because I had all these issues, it was just like, you're obviously less than, so nobody's less than, especially when you are specially wired. You're here to give a gift to the world. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's the
And
damn.
one more thing. I saw somebody years ago mention that they think that there people that are homeless, people on the streets, the reason they're out there, they're very likely on the spectrum.
Yeah, there's a lot of neurodivergence and a lot of mental that are on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucked up.
Fucked up. Our system, our crazy people system, basically it's anything that's disturbing people, like also mental hospitals. Those people are probably just mostly, not all, but mostly autistics that have been rejected by society and just mistreated, and they developed all these issues. All the people we disregard, they're very, very magical, special people, and we lock them up. We throw them away.
Yep, it's the backwards time.
Yep. And I do see the world eventually becoming more understanding. Well, us becoming completely accepted. I do see. That's another thing I'm able to foresee. Like, it's just a feeling. Like, I definitely see us being completely accepted, and that the world is actually going there.
Yeah, totally.
Everything that's kind of falling apart right now is the conditioning of how we're supposed to be. That's falling apart. I think we're all going to be extreme individuals, and this is going to be the new.
And valued.
Yeah.
And as children, cultivated for our gifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pining for it. I'm praying for it. We're having these conversations, right?
Yeah, and I encourage people to do this, to have these conversations about this topic, to show people that we're normal. There's nothing wrong with us.
We're just different.
Yeah, we're just different. Like, as in, yeah, we are of value.
Of extreme.
We're not less than.
We're of extreme value.
Extreme value.
I went out, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for coming on with me today. I'm sure we could talk forever because this is like psychology and neurodiversity. We both care about it a lot. But yeah, if you're watching this and you're a neurodivergent, you feel like you're neurodivergent, definitely get evaluated and do a lot of self-evaluation as well. Because if you understand yourself, and I'm sure Natasha, you can agree with this, finding out I was on the spectrum was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Me too. I finally was like, oh.
I understand, like, why am I like this? And then I was like, oh, that's why. And now I can accommodate for it. My whole life is built around it. And I'm very happy. And like you said, life can be so beautiful. It doesn't have to be miserable. It doesn't have to be crushing you. And you're beautiful and perfect the way you are, and we need your gifts. We need you exactly as you are, weirdness and all.
Yeah. And can I plug myself?
Yes, plug yourself.
Yeah, so go into my link in my bio and check out the link. I can hold space for you the way others cannot.
Mm, yes, beautiful. I did check out your link about. She's got a lot of resources, free, mid-tier, and higher tier paid. So go check them out. And if this feels like you, then you should have a talk with Natasha. So
Yeah.
save this, and thank you so much for speaking with me. And let this be a testament to how powerful and actually powerful communicators autistic people can be.
Yes. I wasn't always like this. I'm here
Me
now. You could do it too.
neither, and I still struggle with some communication things for sure. But knowing that I'm autistic and my partner knowing that I'm autistic, it really changes things. It really helps to know the truth and then work with it. When you
Yeah.
work with the truth, you're operating within universal law. So
Yes.
thank you so much again. Thanks for watching, and